Hello my friends, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany, and in today's video we are talking all things back to school. In my house, that 3-word phrase has been like a naughty word for the last 2.5 months, but unfortunately the countdown has finally reached its end and we are now at back to school. So in today's video I'm going to share with you how I do my very best to keep my family of 7 on track and organized, and to make our school year as smooth as possible. I'm not saying I have all the answers, but with 1 going into college, 1 in high school, 2 in middle, and 1 in elementary, I think of myself as a little bit of an expert. I also used to be a school counselor, and this is my first school year not returning, so I definitely feel like I've got some tips and tricks that I can help share with you to make your school year run a little bit smoother as well. So if you're here for it, let's go ahead and get started. Before we go any further in today's video, I want to go ahead and thank our sponsor, Burga. I have been sharing Burga products with you guys now for about a year, maybe a little more, and I love Burga products. It's actually the only thing I have been using on my phone. It's the only thing my daughter uses on her phone. And they have a ton of other great products too, but I am thrilled to be partnering with them again in today's video. I just got my new items in, so I'm thrilled to share them with you. And there are there's 2 new items that I have never shared with you before. So first up, I want to share with you, it's a Tough case, which is the same type of case I currently have on my phone. This one is actually for my daughter. I've talked to you guys before about how much she loves their cases. But what's great about a Tough case, this is in Lasso, by the way. What a cute color for fall, which is what we picked this time, was everything for fall. But what's nice about the Tough cases is they've got this really great protective case on the inside, this nice rubber case, and then you put the decorative piece on the outside. It's got a nice hard shell, so it's going to keep your phone protected. All of their phone cases have this bezel design around the camera, so that way if it falls, it's not going to injure your camera, which is so important. I use my camera for everything, so if you can see there, it keeps it protected, which is fantastic. I got an Elite case for the winter, which their Elite cases are just a step up a little bit. The inside has a beautiful protective velvet, which is so nice. And it still has that bezel around your camera, but what's nice about this one is it's got that like nice gold plating right there. This is in Betty, which I love. Again, I was going for something for fall. Let me pop it into my phone. These things keep your phone so protected, but look at how nice that is. I love how sleek it is. I wanted something that was a little more matte and not super duper shiny for fall. Love it with my fall nails. So cute. Their cases are also shock absorbing. They absorb up to 90% of a fall if you drop your phone. So these little tiny computers in your hand, which are $1,000 plus investments, you want to make sure that you're keeping them safe. So having a good phone case is so imperative. All of their designs are made in-house with fashion in mind, so they always look great. And they have tons of matching accessories as well, like laptop cases, magnetic power banks, and they also have a new item, a leak-proof tumbler. I am so thrilled about this. We actually got this one for Michaela because she starts college next month in September, and I wanted her to be able to have a leak-proof tumbler that I could trust when she throws it into her bag, because she's gonna have a nice expensive computer in there, and I don't wanna worry that it's going to get destroyed. So how adorable is this? And of course it matches the case that she got for the fall. It's in that Lasso print. This is so nice. It's so lightweight and absolutely beautiful. I love that it has the rubber on the bottom, so it's not gonna slide all over the place. It's designed to keep hot drinks hot for up to 12 hours, cold drinks cold, literally all day. Got a nice metal straw, which I appreciate. All right, we've got water inside. I cannot get over how light this is. That is fantastic. That's probably one of my biggest gripes when it comes to tumblers is how incredibly heavy they get, but this is so light. So it's got this top that you slide back and forth to lock when it's open. You're able to get a drink out of that. I can see my lipstick on there. And when you close it, nothing. absolutely leak proof, which I am so thankful for. Like I said, I want her to be able to toss this into her bag and not have to worry that it's going to destroy her computer or any of her notes. And it's sleek, it's lightweight, it's easy to carry. We can get her a matching laptop cover so she can match her tumbler, her phone, and her laptop, which is so cute. The other new product that I am beyond excited to share with you is a Kindle case. This is new to their website. You guys know how much I love Toxic Tammy. My Kindle, I take her everywhere, and I am so excited. This is made with vegan leather. It has an auto sleep and wake function, and it's got raised screen bezels on the sides, just like the phone, to keep it safe. So there's what it looks like on the inside. Let me take this out. Nice and protective on the inside. Math exam, how cute. I loved the checkered design. And what I think I love the most about this is it magnets shut when you open it all the way, and it has a little hand spot right here, so I can hold this. When I was getting a pedicure yesterday, I didn't have this yet, and I had Tammy in my hand, and I felt like I was gonna drop her. So that is so nice, and it stays magnetized when it's open. Let me find her so we can put her in here. And she fits perfectly. I am obsessed. Absolutely love. And it is such a beautiful design. Love, love, love. With the holidays right around the corner, Burga cases are the perfect gift for you and for your loved ones. I know Michaela would love one, I would love one. Right now you can buy 4 Burga cases and only pay for 2. What a steal. And if you use my coupon code TiffanyX5, you're gonna get an additional 5% off your order. So now is the time, loved ones in your life, get them a tumbler, get them an adorable Kindle case, get them a fabulous phone case, get them a whole little vibe, and get ready for the holiday shopping. So thank you again to Burga for sponsoring today's video. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to leave them down below, and let's go ahead and get into today's video. In today's video, we're gonna be talking about all of the things. I'm gonna talk about my calendar system that I use, school and sports schedules and how I keep those organized, our homework routine, as well as a routine for projects, chores, and the importance of making sure that you are prioritizing family time amongst all of the chaos. So if you're trying to keep yourself sane and your family organized this school year, this video hopefully will give you some tips and tricks to do just that. So first things first, let's talk about schedules. There is nothing more stressful than trying to manage the calendar for you and your entire family. Like I mentioned, there are 7 of us. So there's me and Danny, who is a middle school special ed teacher. And then I have 5 amazing kiddos. My daughter, Michaela, is gonna be a freshman in college this year. She's going to school to be a nurse. And then I have my son, Aiden, who will be a junior this year, my son, Ronan, who will be in 8th grade, my son, Griffin, who will be in 6th, and my son, Ryan, who will be in 4th. So we've got a little bit of everything in our house for sure. Not to mention everybody plays sports, everybody has clubs. Some people are working. I've got 2 kids that work, and so making sure that we're keeping track of everybody's schedules can be very, very stressful. Not to mention, we've got multiple school districts happening. So my kids go to school in one school district, my daughter goes to college, and my husband works in a different district. I had a district as well. I don't have that this time. So at least we've got one less one to worry about. But trying to keep everybody's schedules can be incredibly stressful. And as much as I want my kids to have a lot of autonomy and to be able to do these things on their own, it is so important that I have just master oversight, if you will, so that I am mindful when booking doctor's appointments, dental cleanings, those types of things, and that I know when Danny's gonna be at work late, when it's back to school nights, when it's parent-teacher conferences, those types of things. So there are a number of ways to keep your family organized, and I'm gonna tell you the ones that work for me. I am not saying that these by any means are the end all be all. They really are not. There's so many ways to keep your family organized. I'm just gonna let you know the ones that work for us and that I currently use. I am a big believer in digital calendars. A number of reasons, and there are so many digital calendars out there, but I'm gonna tell you the ones that we use. Number one, we all have iPhones, and so we use our Apple Calendar. That's the number one place that I put any appointments or, sports events or parties, things like that. I try to keep those all in our Apple calendars, and I try to share those calendars. Not everybody is on there because I'm not ready to give everybody access to that. My little kids are just not ready. I don't want them to delete something by accident. However, the other calendar that we use is a Skylight calendar. This is a digital calendar. I've talked to you guys about this before. I got this last school year. I was desperate for a system that would keep everybody's schedules intact, but also give me the flexibility for a chore chart. And I don't know about you and your children, but for me, anything digital just seems to keep their attention more, seems to be more of an incentive for them to want to use. And what's nice about the Skylight calendar is it will sync to your Google Calendar, your Apple Calendar. It will sync to, we use Game Changer for all of the football games and football practices. And when my son used to do cheer was on there as well. And so it syncs directly to that as well. So any of those things that are in that calendar get auto put into the Skylight calendar. It is so convenient. You can take a picture of like a form that you get home. So for example, my son Ronan, he runs track. When he gets the track schedule sent home from school, I can take a picture of that and it'll take those dates and put them all in the calendar, which is so convenient. I don't have to put them all in individually. And it's just really, really convenient. I can easily delete things. I can repeat things. So I don't have to go in and write it in on a calendar for the same day every single week. Everything is color coded based on the child. And I do the same color, whether it's for their schedule or for a chore list. And it's just really, really convenient. I absolutely love it. It used to sit on the coffee bar, but I've now since moved it into my office because I just feel like that's kind of like a good hub for all of those types of things. And everybody can come in there, take a look at it, mark things off, and I can easily see it when I'm scheduling things or when I'm meal planning. That is a premium feature that I pay for with the Skylight calendar is the meal planning. That way I can just do all of my meal planning there. What's great is I can look at the calendar and see what we have going on. What nights are we gonna have late nights, that type of thing. And what do I need to, plan accordingly for food. And that has been incredibly helpful. The other thing I really love about digital calendars is the alarms and the reminders. That's probably the thing I need the most. I forget things very easily. I have a lot of people to manage, including my own business. And I struggle sometimes with my inability to remember some things. I do have ADHD, and sometimes if it's not in the forefront of my mind, or it's not like the biggest priority for me, or it's not on my calendar, it's not something I have scheduled, sometimes it's hard for me to remember. So having alarms, sometimes multiple, is very, very helpful. In the calendar on my phone, I can even set an alarm, 2 or 3 days before to just remind me so that I have it in my mind. And that is so very helpful. I have taught all of my children how to use alarms and reminders in their phones. It's just so, so, so helpful. So my best tip to you is if you are a calendar person and you want to have a paper calendar, by all means, have a paper calendar, have a paper planner, whatever works for you, but use a digital camera. Use a digital calendar. I highly recommend giving it a try. They're so incredibly useful. You can share them with the people that you need to share them with, and they're just easy to access. They are easy to make changes and edit them, to repeat things, to set those alarms, and I just think that this is the best and most efficient way to keep everybody organized. So the next thing I want to talk about is tracking homework, schedules, and projects. So with a family the size of mine, it's very easy to lose sight of, when the book fair is, and when, that project is due, when finals are, when you need to have an application turned in, those types of things. We already have our first deadline. My son was invited to apply to National Junior Honor Society. He's an 8th grader. And there's a deadline. So he needs to have that done by September 5th. So we have our first deadline of the year. And it's really important that we keep track of those things. And it's so easy to lose sight of those things. So the first thing that we always do is on Sundays, we have a weekly like planning session. We typically do it right after dinner. We're usually having dessert. My mother-in-law and sister-in-law will come over for dinner usually, or we go to their house for dinner. And we will all sit and talk about what the week looks like because everybody is involved. We talk about sports games. We talk about, what projects are due. We talk about who's going to need a ride where, all of those things so we can plan them out right then and there. Some things that we might need help remembering, we'll put into a digital calendar. That way we know we can put in deadlines and those types of things. And like I already mentioned in section 1, we can put reminders and alerts and alarms to keep us on track with those things. One thing that I have taught my children, and that's so important, especially if you have ADHD like I do, have intermittent due dates. So for example, let's say that your kid or you were given a 6-week, long project. And some teachers, a lot of really good teachers will have intermittent due dates within that. In the first week, you need to have your outline done and you need to have acquired all of your materials. In week 2, you need to at least have half of your rough draft done. By week 3, you need to have the second half of your rough draft and you need to start editing. If you don't have that, if you're just given a syllabus or a rubric, set your own intermittent deadlines. Know yourself, know your kid. How are they going to need to have it broken down? Take all of the deliverables in, that project and break them down into smaller, more manageable pieces with intermittent due dates. So that way you and your kiddo don't lose track of the project and it doesn't feel overwhelming, and it's just so much easier to make sure that you're turning in quality work and you're not waiting until the night before on a Sunday night when that giant diorama is due and you haven't even started. We've all been there. One thing that you can do as the commander of your family, if you will, I don't want to say mom because it's not always mom, but in my house it is. You can have like a quick reference list. So I usually jot it in my own planner, just a reminder of, Griffin has this project due in ELA, and that way I'm constantly asking. It's okay for me to annoy my kids about school projects and things like that. That's my job, and they're used to it. And I'm sure they expect it. So having a quick reference that I can just look through all the things, activities, projects, homework, that kind of stuff is really, really easy for me to not lose sight of everything that's due. So the next thing I want to talk about is homework and after school routines. So this looks different in everybody's home. I would say this is probably one of the most personal things when it comes to creating a back to school routine or a back to school ritual, is what your after school looks like. And there are lots of different philosophies out there, and I think every parent of a school-age child has their own philosophy about what after school should look like. My laundry's done. But I think it's really important that you figure out what your own personal philosophy is, what your family philosophy is, and what you want after school to look like. And it really can look different for all of your children. So again, I have 5 kids. They're all different. They all have different personalities. But one thing is always a given. Nobody likes to do homework. It's the least favorite thing in our house. And I can't say that I don't disagree. I don't love homework. I like things that are more family-based. I like things that are more like life skills, if you will. So for example, cook dinner with your parents that week, at one point that week, and write a small paragraph about what you made and how you enjoyed it or whatever, something like that, instead of just a worksheet or, I don't know. I don't find there to be any value in that kind of homework. I do understand independent practice for skills that kids are trying to learn, like math and that kind of thing. I also agree with studying and reading. I like to do reading, all of us together. You know what I mean? That way we're all doing some reading, but if we could just do more practical homework, that would be a lot better. But because nobody in my house likes it, our ritual is to do it immediately. If we put it off, if we say we'll do it later, we'll do it after dinner, we're gonna take a half an hour break, it's not gonna happen. And also, we are master avoiders of things that we don't like to do. So we'll find any reason why we need to just continue to push it off. And then before you know it, it's time to go to school the next morning and they're doing their homework on the bus. So figure out what homework looks like for you. If your kid, and it also depends on what your afternoon looks like. Afternoons for us are typically pretty busy. My kids who do sports at school, once they're home, they're done for the evening. But my kids that do sports for town, they come home immediately after school, but then have to be somewhere in the evening. So, you know, that really does make a difference as well. But for us, when you get home, we have a transition process, a homework routine. It always starts with empty out your backpack. If you have a lunchbox or a water bottle, put it in the sink or in the dishwasher. Give me any papers that you need to give me. Throw away any trash you need to throw away. My littlest is notorious for bringing home things from the cafeteria. So throw your trash away and then grab yourself a snack, wash your hands, sit down, settle in for homework. Typically, the rule of thumb is that there should be 10 minutes of homework for every year of school that you're in. So if you're in 4th grade, you should have roughly 30 to 40 minutes of homework. I will tell you that's not typical. Usually it's a lot faster than that, but working in education, I know that's typically like an overall formula, if you will. The other thing equally as important as the time frame, the homework block, is a homework location. So every kid, again, is going to be different. Your kiddo may need the flexibility to have a clipboard and a pencil and go sit wherever they want. My kids do a heck of a lot better if they are right here at the dining room table. I keep the house really quiet. I either have soft jazz music playing or there's nothing at all, and we focus. If they need to put a headphone in for silence, if they need to put headphones in to play quiet music, whatever that looks like, whatever is going to help them be the most successful, but right here where I can see you and I can constantly remind you to stay focused. Because again, those unpreferred activities, easy to lose track, to get distracted, to want to do anything else. I think about it when I'm editing. I think I've talked to you guys about this before. I do not enjoy editing my videos. It's just tedious, and if I could just outsource that, I would. It's something I'm considering, but I really, really struggle. And so when I am editing, I will find anything else to do on my computer. I will online shop. I will check my emails. I will decide it's time to, you know, organize the photos in my albums, like anything other than editing. And so I think it's the same thing with homework and my kids. If I tell them to go somewhere else, they are going to be distracted, not by fault, just because it's the nature of doing things that are unpreferred. My biggest tip to you is using a timer or a focus block. This is something I've talked to you guys about. I talked about this maybe in a video about YouTube. I don't know, honestly. I feel like I've talked to you about this though, but having a focus block, oh, you guys, I love the use of timers. Not because I want to try to finish something in a certain amount of time. I think that that can be very stressful for you or for your kids. Instead, putting the timer on and saying for the next 20 minutes, we're gonna do this really unpreferred activity and we're gonna be super laser focused. We're not gonna do anything else. When this timer goes off, we're gonna take a 5-minute break. We're gonna take a 5-minute break. We're gonna go on a walk. We're gonna have a snack. We're gonna have a dance party, whatever it is. But that little reset, and then, okay, I'm going back in. Once your timer is up, are you done? Or where are you at? Get a feel for where you're at with what you're working on and how much more time do you think you're gonna need. If it's a lot, set another timer. Do it again, start the process over. If it's not, then decide what you're gonna do when you're done, you know what I mean? And just having these little mini goals, again, it's almost like those intermittent due dates, you know what I mean? But use the timer as your friend, not your foe. Think about it as your partner in crime. It's there to encourage you and to motivate you to focus, focus, focus for that amount of time. And then when that timer goes off, it's not about being finished, but it's about giving yourself permission to vacate whatever it is that you're doing that you don't want to do, and have a little break. So you also need to figure out what's your role in homework. For me, for my younger kids, for really all of my kids, they are massively independent. For me, my role is really helping everybody stay on task, making sure they have the materials that they need, and answering questions when I can. But typically, they don't need that. Homework is meant to be independent work. The teachers need to see, did this kiddo understand what I taught them today? Do I need to reteach it? How much did they retain? Not what did their parent know, and how much homework did their parent do with them? If they get to a question they don't know, I will say to them, circle it, write on there, or get a Post-it, make a note. I need to talk to my teacher about this tomorrow. I didn't understand it, or I don't remember. I'll say, go back and look at your notes, that kind of thing. But I typically do not help them answer the question, because I know that's not what the teacher is looking for. I have actually had that conversation with so many parents and teachers. When I was a school counselor, I did all the 504s, and 504s are accommodation plans for students with disabilities, and ADHD is a disability, and we would talk a lot about, don't do your kids' homework, don't correct their homework, don't do their homework. Let the teacher see what the kiddo actually knows, right? And here's a pro tip from a mom of a bunch of kids. Have them pack their bag for the next day at the end of homework time. Let that be the last part of what they're doing before they pack school away. And that way it's done and out of your mind. You don't have to think about it. Sign any papers that you as the parent need to sign. Get those put back in the folders. Have them hang their backpacks back up, put them in the car, put them wherever they need to go. So that way they're done, out of sight, out of mind. Don't have to think about school anymore for the rest of the night. And you're ready to go the next morning. You don't have to think about it again. When my kids were really little and we struggled to get out of the house in the morning, I would have them put their shoes and their backpacks in the car. That way they could get in the car, put their shoes on in the car, and I knew that their backpacks are already there. Now, they typically will just hang them by the front door and grab them as we're leaving, but just think about the season of life that you're in, the chapter of school that you're in, and what's gonna help your family the most. So the next thing I wanna talk to you about now is chores and a chore system that works. So I'm a firm believer in family contributions. I'm a firm believer that everybody in the house that lives here, that contributes to the mess, needs to contribute to keeping the house in functioning order. Doesn't always have to be clean and spotless, but it definitely needs to be functioning. We need to know where we can find things, and we need to have clean dishes to eat on every night. And that means that everybody needs to pitch in. So I have done chore charts 1 million different ways, and you're gonna have to find the one that works for you and your family. But for me right now, I use a digital chore chart on the Skylight calendar. It's actually one of the reasons why I purchased that specific calendar. I can put the chores in and they can just check them off, and it shows them at the top a running completed line and how many, how close to completion they're getting, which I find to be very motivating. I like it on my watch when I'm doing, workouts or trying to reach my calorie goals for the week or for the day. And so I like that. I also like that if they don't do it, it stays on the list. So if they didn't do it the day before, it's gonna stay there and it's gonna say 1 day late, 2 days late, 3 days late. So they don't just get out of doing the things, the responsibility that they have. I really, really like that too. You can do your chore charts all different ways. It really depends on the age of your kiddo and what is going to motivate them the most. We are in a digital world, and I want my kids to understand how to use digital property effectively and appropriately. And so I think that having a digital chore chart is ideal because that's what they're used to using. They use Chromebooks at school. They are on YouTube, and they use electronics, and so we want to use that to their advantage. Also, when they're adults, there are so many great programs to have your daily to-dos in a digital form. Easy to keep track of. You can go back and look at your previous days, you know what I mean? So I'm hoping that it's teaching them a life skill forever. In our house, we have done chores a number of different ways. We have rotated the chores. We have had chores that, this is your one chore. You have to find what works for you. In my house, typically we need to rotate the chores so nobody gets stuck with something all of the time, like dishes. We try to rotate the dishes for sure. We rotate, who's cleaning up from dinner, but then there's other things that are not rotated. So for example, with the bathroom, like cleaning up their bathroom upstairs, everybody has a specific part of the bathroom they clean. My daughter mops the floor, Griffin wipes down the countertops. Like everybody has their specific part. So that way, if it didn't get done, we know who needs to do it. But you got to find what works for you. We do give allowance. Again, this is a personal preference, what works for you. When they were little, we didn't do money, we did incentives. So things like, earning iPad time or getting to pick what book we read before bed or what show we watched before bed. Those types of things. We have even done stamp cards where, if they didn't want to earn something that day, they want to earn a stamp, they could, or a hole punch, they could save for a bigger item. We've done it that way. Working in education, Danny and I have a giant treasure chest of incentive ideas, and we've tried them all on our children. But I think now at their age, the thing that works the best is an allowance, a good old-fashioned allowance. And that allowance is based on their age and, how hard the chores are that we're asking them to do. My oldest son, he is expected to help with like weed whacking around the yard. Like that's a bigger chore than taking out the recyclables. So that's how we figure out how everybody gets paid. We also will sometimes pay them partially. So if they didn't do all of their things, but they did some, I want to recognize that. It's like if you called out of work sick for 2 days, but you went the other 3, you're still going to get paid, right? So I want them to have a good understanding of the effort you put in is what you're going to get back. And so that's why we do an allowance. We're not sticklers on, you got to save and spend X amount of money. And like, we don't do that. It's your money. You can do with it what you want. I don't like people telling me what to do with my money. So I don't want to tell my children what to do with their money, but we do like to, tell them, here are some things you can do. Is there something in particular you want to save for? And typically they're pretty good. I will tell you that if you have kids living in your home who are not helping around the house, or you don't have a chore system that works, I highly recommend that you try to establish one. And it might take a while for you to find the right incentive for your kids. Ask them, how would you like to be incentivized? What would you like to earn? Would you prefer to earn money? Would you prefer to earn, a trip to the park or going to Walmart where you can pick out a Lego set or whatever? Ask them for their input. But this is really honestly the only way that our house can stay in functioning order is if everybody pitches in. And sometimes on a Friday night, we will do just a family cleanup, and I will have everybody come downstairs and we will literally bust out this house in 20 minutes because 7 of us are doing it together. So it's the only way we can keep up with our busy schedules and, keep the house in functioning order. So make sure everybody in your house is contributing. And the last section I just want to talk about really quickly is protecting family time. This is so very important. Time just flies during the school year. All Monday through Friday when there are so many things to do. And then now for us, we've got football on the weekends. Like it just blows my mind how quickly the days go, the weeks go, and before you know it, a whole nother year is gone and you're, a year closer to your kiddos flying from the nest and starting their own lives. So protect family time at all costs. Figure out the non-negotiables in your house. For us, we have non-negotiable family dinner nights. We used to have non-negotiable Friday movie nights, and we still try to do that for my little kids. My older kiddos can't always do it because they work. But Friday nights are always pizza and movies here in our home. And Saturday nights are for Danny and I. So after the kids, after we all have family dinner and the kids lay down for the night, Danny and I will, go to a movie or go out on a date night or whatever. But we have non-negotiables so that we guarantee that we're spending quality time together. So figure out what those look like for you. That could be church time, that could be a family dinner. It doesn't have to be on the weekend. You could find the one day that works for everybody, you know what I mean? But you're setting the tone and you're telling your kids that us spending time as a whole is so important that it's not even up for discussion. There are times, I don't do this every single week, but there are times where there are things that are so important, or I know we're gonna have like a couple of really busy weeks where I will block off protected time on the calendar so that everybody knows on this Friday from this time to this time, you are not allowed to make plans. This is a non-negotiable protected time. Do not book anything on this. Don't pick up a work shift. Don't go, on a date with your girlfriend, like none of that. I don't do it often, but when I do, it's in red. It says protected time, and usually I'll put on there what we're doing, but that's important. And then a little pro tip just to think of during the busy school year is find other ways to connect with your kids. For me, I try to do this individually, but that could look like morning check-ins. So when we're sitting at the bus stop waiting for the bus, I might do a check-in in the afternoon or evening at bedtime. I try to check in with my kids one-on-one every single day. Sometimes that's not face-to-face. Sometimes, for example, my daughter will be going to school all day long and then she'll leave straight from school to go directly to work. And I'm not gonna see her because she'll be at school and then work until like 11 p.m. So I'll text her and check in, you know what I mean? But just making sure that you are finding a way every single day to have meaningful connection, ask meaningful questions. Instead of how was your day, you can ask for very specific things. Who'd you sit with at lunch today? What'd you guys talk about? Or did your teacher give you any compliments today or any feedback? Let's talk about it. Very specific questions that help you get a little bit of insight into your child and their feelings about their day. That's just, a great way to stay connected. So you guys, those are all of my tips and tricks to have Those are all my tips and tricks to reduce the stress of the school year. I don't want to say eliminate it because that is impossible. The school year is stressful just in and of itself. But hopefully these tips gave you some ideas. Maybe they reaffirmed some things that you're already doing or gave you some different ways of looking at things. Back to school does not have to mean chaos. There are ways to stay organized. And if you enjoyed this video, I would love for you to subscribe and come back for more. I post 4 new videos every single week. Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday typically, but make sure you have the bell notifications on in case anything is different that week and you're notified. That way you'll be notified every time my videos go live. So I do just want to wish all of you a wonderful back to school season. I hope that everybody's school year goes smoothly and that it is a year of growth and just, happy memories. And hopefully I will get to see you guys in the next one. Take care, my friends.